Monday Night Raw tonight was the go-home episode before Money in the Bank, which is coming up on Saturday from the O2 Arena in London, England, a 3 p.m. start time. You know how I know that? Because they keep telling us. 3 o'clock in the afternoon for the pay-per-view coming up on Saturday. In the main event tonight, we had Cody Rhodes one-on-one with Damian Priest. Damian Priest is part of the men's Money in the Bank ladder match coming up on Saturday. Damian Priest is also the only member of the Judgment Day to lose. Rhea Ripley did not have a match, but Finn Balor was in action tonight. He won his match. Dominik Mysterio was in action. He won his match. Damian Priest lost. And he lost in part because the Judgment Day did try to get involved. They did get involved. And it ended up backfiring on them. So that could be a story. That could be something that, again, is furthering the eventual split. If Damian Priest is going to be bounced or he's going to leave the Judgment Day at some point, that could be something to watch. But we had Cody and Damian in the main event. One of the themes tonight was Cody Rhodes and Dominik Mysterio promoting their match on Saturday. Tonight was really about promoting all of the key matches at Money in the Bank, save for the Bloodline match because that's SmackDown. So we got a Bloodline video package. Otherwise, there was no Bloodline involvement. Paul Heyman did not show up with his guest pass again and show up tonight. But we had the NXT champion, Carmelo Hayes, making his Raw debut. He was in the front row, and then later on he wrestled his first match. And he actually got in the ring on the show tonight with Finn Balor, and he lost in his Raw debut, which was quite a suspect move, more so because he's defending his title on television in 24 hours against Baron Corbin. So in preparation for his championship match tomorrow night, he wrestled tonight in a non-title match, and he lost. Not what I would have done, but I will say this. He looked good in his Raw debut. He was out there, man. It was a showcase for Carmelo Hayes, and at no point during that match with Finn Balor tonight did he look out of place. Did he look like he didn't belong? He belongs. I think him and Braun Breaker are going to do very well when they get their eventual call up to the main roster. We got some good wrestling tonight. The show, the first 2 hours of the show was just nothing. This show, the first 2 hours, didn't do a damn thing for me. We had a women's Money in the Bank summit. It came up with the summit. It's the summit, like it's fucking Camp David here. And they're all getting together in the ring to talk about their match. I didn't care about any of this. That did nothing to get me excited about the women's Money in the Bank match on Saturday. And they really didn't do anything to really build the men's Money in the Bank match on Saturday. Even Damian Priest being involved in the main event, there was no real mention or focus on the men's Money in the Bank match. It was all about Cody and Dom. Priest was almost out there like an afterthought, to be honest with you. So there's a lot of stuff in those first 2 hours I just didn't care about. In the third hour, though, we got some good stuff. We got some good wrestling with Gunther and Sami Zayn, who had the match of the night on this show. And, of course, the Finn Balor-Carmelo Hayes match. Those were the two best parts of Raw. And then Cody and Priest actually had a pretty good main event as well. So the third hour, usually it's the other way around, where the interesting stuff or the good stuff tends to happen maybe in the first hour, the second hour, and then the third hour kind of falls off a cliff. It was kind of in reverse tonight, where the best stuff on the show actually came in the final hour. But this is your Monday Night McMahon review here for Monday, June 26, 2023. I am the Solomonster. Like and subscribe. 400 likes is the goal tonight. 400. We hit 400 during the live stream. We will Be the Booker later on here tonight. Super chats are open. I do thank everybody who sends one on in. I will be reading your messages as I always do. And of course, channel memberships are open as well. And I know that we had just a moment ago here, Bobby's World gifted a channel membership to one very lucky recipient. Bobby, thank you very much. The show opened tonight with Rhea Ripley and Dominik Mysterio already standing in the ring. And Dominik was going to try to deliver the opening, welcome to Monday Night Raw line. And he couldn't do it. Couldn't do it because he was being drowned out by boos here from this crowd. They would not let him do it. Rhea said that Cody Rhodes is a wannabe and a loser. Cody made his way to the ring. Dominik was standing on the apron while Ripley stayed in the ring and glared at Cody. And Cody delivered the welcome to Monday Night Raw line instead. Ripley said that while Cody would try to bully Dom all he wants to, Dom is a very dangerous man. I mean, this kid's got a rap sheet a mile long, right? You got to be careful what you say to this kid. Cody said, Dom, go ahead, be who you are, say how you feel, because those who mind don't matter, and those who matter, they don't mind. And Cody said, you know where that quote is from? The Cat in the Hat. The Cat in the Hat. Dr. Seuss. He says it's a children's book, and he said he's quoting a children's book because that's what Dom is. A scared little boy. So Dominik and Rhea, they went to go leave, and Cody tried to get him to come back into the ring. Come on in. He goes, Damian's not running for me. I got a main event match tonight with Damian Priest. He's not running for me. And he said that, look, I'm right here. I'll even give you a free shot. And when he told Dom that he would give him a free shot, Dominik had a change of heart. He turned around. He walked back down to the ring. He climbed up on the apron, but he stopped short of getting inside. And the camera, this was fantastic. And I'm sure he'll get a talking to for this. Probably already did once he got to the back. He's on the apron. He's looking at Cody. And he thinks better of it. And the camera catches him mouthing the words, fuck this. And he drops off the apron and he walks away. He must have learned that in prison. You gotta wash this kid's mouth out with soap. So Cody said he wanted to learn if Dominik is half the man that his father is, or if he is just mommy's little boy. You know, I was worried as soon as Cody started reciting the Cat in the Hat. I was worried that I was having flashbacks to Suffer and Succotash. And I said, oh my God, where is this going? But I liked him quoting the children's book because Dom is a child. So at least that made sense. You know, when he said, the reason I'm reciting this part of the Cat in the Hat is because you're a child, then it actually tied together nicely. But I didn't know where that was going. And I was a little worried, but in the end, it worked out okay. We had Shinsuke Nakamura one-on-one against Ricochet, 2 men in the Money in the Bank men's match on Saturday. Bronson Reed is not in the Money in the Bank match on Saturday, but you would never know that, because if you watch the show over the past month, everything involves the 3 of them. They're like the 3 amigos. Reed is wrestling Nakamura, then he's wrestling Ricochet. Ricochet is wrestling Nakamura. Back and forth we go. But Bronson Reed was out there. He was looking all dapper, man. He was in his all black suit tonight, sitting at ringside to watch the match. Ricochet and Nakamura ended up taking shots at Reed when their fight spilled outside the ring. Reed tried to get at them, but he was held back by the referee, who ejected him from ringside, and we never saw him again after that. If he does not get involved in the Money in the Bank match in some way, shape, or form on Saturday, I'm not sure why he's basically been married to these 2 people on television for the better part of a month now. If he's not going to factor into that match in some way, if he's not going to come out and cost one or both of them the Money in the Bank match, I don't know what's going on here. You know, I get them that you want to find a role for Bronson Reed on TV. If he didn't qualify for Money in the Bank, what do you do with him? There's probably any number of other people on this show he could be working with, even if it's just him going out there and squashing people. But just the way that he's been used, why didn't you just have him qualify for Money in the Bank? I mean, I'm looking at the lineup. I don't know who you would have bounced. I mean, they put Logan Paul in there. LA Knight is in there. Damian Priest, right? I wouldn't take any of them out. So, I don't know. Maybe they just didn't have enough spots. Maybe they could have expanded it to 8, right? The Money in the Bank match used to be 8. It's just very weird. But this was a good little showcase here for both men, giving Ricochet some momentum heading into Money in the Bank with a win. He had a standing sliced bread and then finished Nakamura off with a 450 splash for the win. Byron Saxton was backstage with Matt Riddle who earlier in the day issued a challenge to Gunther for the Intercontinental title at Money in the Bank. No surprise there. When I did my Money in the Bank predictions yesterday on the podcast, I said this might be one of the matches that... Actually, I said there were 2 matches that might get added to this show. This was one, and the other was Rhea Ripley and Natalya for the Women's Championship, which is taking place, but not at Money in the Bank. We found out later that the challenge has been issued for next week on Raw. So he's talking to Matt Riddle, and he wanted to know if it's a smart move. You know, you're throwing out the gauntlet to Gunther for a title match. And given what happened to you last week when Imperium attacked you and Gunther stomped on your ankle and Riddle's ankle was all wrapped up, do you think this is a smart move, challenging him for the championship? And he said his ankle is good. It's fine. It's good to go. Ludwig Kaiser showed up. He said Riddle got exactly what he deserved last week after what he had done to Giovanni Vinci. Kaiser asked Riddle, what makes you think that you're skilled enough to compete for the Intercontinental title? And Riddle said that he used his skills to beat Kaiser, who then said that that would never happen again. Riddle hit him. He tried for an armbar. Gunther showed up, hit Riddle from behind. Kaiser was holding Riddle down on the ground. Gunther bent over. He said he accepts the challenge for Money in the Bank. And then he stomped on Riddle's bad ankle again. And as far as the match is concerned, this could very well be one of the sleeper matches of this weekend. The Money in the Bank matches are usually full of crazy spots and insanity, and at least one of them, if not both of them, especially, the men's one, when you look at who's in that men's match, you got Ricochet in there, you got Logan Paul. Those two, like the Royal Rumble, they're going to put together something nuts. I think the crowd will be going crazy for certain people in that match, LA Knight being one of them. I think the men's Money in the Bank match is going to end up being a really good match. But the Bloodline, too, not taking anything away from, I'm sure, hot crowd. They're going to be into the Bloodline stuff. Gunther and Matt Riddle, though, is going to be one of the matches on that show to keep an eye out for, because Gunther, he seems incapable of having a bad match. And Riddle, for his part, also usually goes out there. We see him on television in the ring. He usually has very good matches. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing what those two can do on Saturday. But there's no doubt as to who's going over. There's no real drama. There's no real doubt. This close to breaking the all-time record, there's really no doubt about who's going over in this match. Hey, Brock Benningfield is a sound-off superstar. Hey, Brock, welcome to the club. It's good to have you. Dominik and Rhea were backstage. They approached Adam Pearce in his office, and Dominik said that he was embarrassed by Cody Rhodes and he wanted a match against somebody of his own caliber tonight. Dominik said that he had somebody in mind. Then Rhea whispered something in his ear. And when Pearce asked, okay, who'd you have in mind as an opponent? Ripley said, we'll get back to you on that. And they walked away. Then after this, we got a 5-minute long video package promoting the 18-year history. Can you believe that? 18 years of Money in the Bank. Going all the way back to the very first match. Chris Jericho will take credit for the idea, the very first Money in the Bank match, WrestleMania 21. They had highlights of that in this package as well. Every woman so far, they said, 7 for 7 has successfully cashed in to become champion when they win the briefcase. That bodes very well for Io Sky when she wins on Saturday. Ronda Rousey is not in Money in the Bank, thank Christ, but she was in action on the show one-on-one against Raquel Rodriguez. They went 2 minutes. I don't know what you want me to say about this match, because when a match goes 2 minutes, there isn't a whole lot to say. We had a lot of those matches on this show tonight. I'm going to get to Dominik's match in a little bit. His match didn't even go a full 2 minutes. So they went 2 minutes. Raquel got to show off her power a few times. She would, power Ronda up, and she would slam her down. She went for her corkscrew dive from the middle rope. Shayna Baszler, though, moved Rousey out of harm's way. Liv Morgan, who made a surprise return on SmackDown Friday night, early return from her injury. She came out here for this match with Raquel. She tackled Baszler down to the ground. In the ring, Rousey rolled Rodriguez into a pinning predicament and got the 3 count. And on Saturday, it's going to be Ronda and Shayna defending their newly unified WWE Women's Tag Team titles against Raquel and Liv. You know, we got that tense moment a few weeks ago. In the back, in the gorilla position, with Rhea Ripley and Raquel Rodriguez. Raquel was standing there being interviewed. Rhea came back. It might have been, was it the attack on Natty? It might have been when she beat up Natty. But Rhea came back through the curtain, and we had a little stare down between the two of them. And so, yeah, they were planting a seed for what seemed like an eventual match. I was thinking maybe they were planting something to set up for SummerSlam. And now Liv is back. And Liv is back a lot earlier than WWE expected. Even Liv herself commented and said she wasn't sure she'd be back this soon from her injury. And so I wonder now if they had some sort of plan that may or may not have changed now for Raquel to challenge for the championship as soon as SummerSlam. But with Liv being back now, that, potentially may have changed plans for them. I'm not expecting them to win the tag team titles back on Saturday. So if they go in there and they lose, the question is, where do they go from here? This is the problem. There really isn't much of a division to begin with. So if Ronda and Shayna are going to be champions for a while, and they're going to go in there and beat Raquel and Liv on Saturday, you're just going to run constant rematches back? What else is there for them to do other than to just wrestle singles matches? So they could still do that. They could still be setting up Raquel for Rhea for SummerSlam. And there is a history there between them going back to NXT. They were very good friends, and then they became mortal enemies. They had a last woman standing match. There is history there between the two of them. They want to build somebody up. And, again, they got this natty stuff going on, and Rhea, most of the time, isn't really doing much of anything. She's really out there with Dominik. She's the top star in the women's division on this show. She's the champion. The lack of competition is glaring for this woman. So even if you're not personally a fan of Raquel, you don't think she's ready for the spot, they have to build people up. They're not going to go right to Rhea Ripley and Becky Lynch, which they're already teasing that as well. Becky still has Trish. Becky is going to get Trish again at SummerSlam. That's going to be the match. You have to build other people up. And I think what we saw a few weeks ago was the beginning signs of that. And we'll see if Liv coming back has any sort of effect on changing that. They had a very good Finn Balor video package. This was very well done. To promote his match with Seth Rollins on Saturday at Money in the Bank, he was sitting down in a chair. He was talking to the camera. He said Rollins wants him to be the guy that he was 7 years ago. That's the Finn Balor that he wants. I want that guy. The guy that beat me to become the first ever Universal Champion, right? So he mentions that. Balor says that guy is dead. He's dead and he ain't ever coming back. Balor said that this guy here that you see now is much worse. And then he listed all the injuries he suffered during that stupid buckle bomb spot in the SummerSlam match 7 years ago, and said, I still beat you that night. Even with a torn labrum and a torn this and a torn that, I still, with one arm, I beat you to become champion. And then he said he was forced to relinquish the championship. And they had all the highlights of this from 7 years ago. He said he was forced to relinquish the championship 22 hours later. They show him walking to the ring, his arm in a sling. He's got the ugly red universal belt, and he's got to forfeit the title. And he says, that's not where the problem started with you and me. The problems started when I was walking up the ramp, and I made it to the stage as I was going to the back, and out comes Seth Rollins. And Rollins is laughing at Finn Balor. And they had all the footage of this. Balor is stoic because he just had the worst experience of his career. And he's looking at Seth, and Seth has that fucking just laughing hyena grin on his face as he's walking out. And he said that you laughed at me. You laughed at me. You laughed at my misfortune. You laughed at me when I was at my lowest point. And Balor said that he would never forget that. He said that he would take back everything that Rollins took from him. And that was the gist of this promo. This was very well done. Very well done. And I like the splicing in of footage showing Rollins laughing at him. And yeah, because I said these two have had many matches 7 or 8 matches in the years that have passed between SummerSlam and today. It's not like this is the first time these two are working together. So it was a bit of a reach to now turn this entire feud into, what you did to me 7 years ago. I mean, I can have a feud with an old friend who fucked me over 10 years ago, right? I mean, it's like, get over it, buddy. But splicing in the footage and showing Rollins laughing at him and everything was, it was a powerful way to reinforce why he would be so angry with this guy. So I thought this was a very well done video package. Speaking of Seth Rollins, speaking of the champion, he was out next to the ring with the World Heavyweight title and giant black shades, looking like he just had LASIK surgery on his eyes. They cut his music when now this is the thing they do with Rollins now when he gets in the ring. They cut his music. They blacken the entire arena. They put the spotlight on him, and he stands there with his arms outstretched, and they sing his song. And that's good for him. I mean, that's his shtick. It works. The fans sing the song. I find all of this very annoying. I just think it's incredibly annoying, but it works for him. So he's standing there, but what was so great about this? The crowd is singing his song. There was a quiet moment, though, where the crowd sort of died down here. And there was a quiet moment in all this, and you can hear a fan in the crowd. You can hear a fan in the crowd yell, "You're a clown," at Seth Rollins. And all he could do is just stand there and smile and take it. Because what's he going to do? I'll tell you what, when he comes out looking like that, he comes out dressed like that, the fan ain't wrong. So Rollins pointed out that the NXT champion Carmelo Hayes was in the house tonight. And in fact, he was sitting by himself, no Trick Williams. He was sitting in the front row next to an old lady. I don't know if that's his sugar mama or what the deal is there, but he was sitting next to this 75-year-old woman in the crowd. So he points him out. Rollins said, "Look, I don't do this very often, but you had my back last week. So I want to say thank you." Rollins told Hayes, "You go and take out bum-ass Corbin tomorrow night on NXT." And I like this. This was good because it's a way to get the NXT champion some face time on the main show. You have your world champion on the other brand here putting over the NXT champion. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's great. I didn't think he was actually going to be wrestling on the show. I said, okay, he's in the front row and Rollins is giving him his props. That's great. I wasn't actually expecting him to get in the ring and wrestle here 24 hours before a championship match tomorrow night on NXT. Rollins at that point, though, turned the focus away from Carmelo Hayes. And he turned his focus to Finn Balor. And Finn Balor attacking him last week, not only on Monday, but then attacking him again on Tuesday. He went to NXT and attacked him too. Surprised they didn't have footage this week of him attacking Rollins in the driveway at home when he went to go take the trash out. When Becky said, "Hey, go take out the trash." And he said, "Yes, ma'am." "You're the man." "Yes, ma'am." So they didn't have that. But he said, "Look, I'm still standing. I'm not 100%. And I will not be 100% come Saturday." But he goes, "I am still standing." He goes, "I'm tired of talking." Told Balor, "Come on out and finish the job if that's what you want to do." He said he's not going to come out. He goes, "As good as Finn Balor is, there's one thing he has not accounted for, and that is me." He said that when it's just the two of them in the ring, the best version of Balor is not as good as the best version of Seth Rollins. Rollins spotted Balor, though, when Balor tried to get in the ring. He did try to jump him. He was a little slow. So Rollins caught him coming into the ring with a chair and cut him off. He cleared Balor out to the floor, and he followed him. He worked him over in front of the announce table. Balor ended up running Rollins ribs first into the ring steps and then into the barricade. Balor grabbed a chair from the timekeeper's area, and at this point, Carmelo Hayes reaches over and he grabs the chair away from Finn Balor. Rollins, who had a little bit of blood on his face, not a lot. On the Moxley scale, it would basically be like a 1. But he had a little trickle of blood on his face. He clotheslined Balor over the barricade into the timekeeper's area. Rollins grabbed the chair, went after Balor, and Balor escaped into the crowd. They have done about as good a job as you could possibly ask for when it comes to building Finn Balor as a serious threat. whether you believe he's actually got a shot of winning on Saturday or not. And he's got a shot, not a very good one. He's not going to win. But they've done about as good a job as you could possibly ask for. That video package earlier, like I said, was very well done. He jumped Rollins last week, went to NXT, jumped him again there. He's been dead serious with all these promos, and I like what they have been doing with Balor. This is much better than where I thought this was going, which was when Rollins was like, that guy from SummerSlam 7 years ago, that's the guy I want. And I thought that was leading to the Demon, because he was the Demon in that match at SummerSlam in Brooklyn. And I said, enough with the Demon. The last 2 times we've seen the Demon has been beaten. The Demon is dead. The Demon is dead. The Demon is goofy. We don't need the Demon. And he's been able to go out there, and they've done a very good job without the paint and without the Demon and all the, all that, the demonic stuff. They didn't need it. It was completely unnecessary. They've done a good job with that. So, and look, as far as the NXT champion is concerned, right? Showcasing him on the show, even if he was just in the front row, what's good for one is good for the other. If you're going to feature more main roster talent on Tuesdays, then you know what? You can go ahead and feature some NXT talent on Mondays and Fridays. What's good for one is good for the other. It's just because you have main roster talent showing up in NXT doesn't mean you can't have the opposite as well. I don't have an issue with that, as long as they're used properly. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of debate about whether or not Carmelo Hayes was used in the best way tonight. We'll get to him in a little bit. Byron Saxton, earlier in the day, was interviewing Tommaso Ciampa in the back. Tommaso Ciampa made his return to television last Monday for the first time in 9 months. Got a win over The Miz. Not a very impressive feat. Everybody beats The Miz. I'm pretty sure a couple days ago I beat The Miz and didn't even realize it. The Miz has yet to win a match in 2023. Okay, so how impressive is that really? But it made sense to kind of wrap up, tie up loose ends there, because the last time we saw Ciampa, he was aligned with The Miz. So, it makes sense for him to go back after The Miz and kind of put the final nail in that coffin. Saxton interviewed Ciampa. Ciampa said that he attacked The Miz because he didn't hear from him all 9 months that he was out recovering from hip surgery. He didn't hear from Miz a single time. He was mad because people warned him about The Miz, and he said they were right. He says his injury was a blessing in disguise. 9 months was a long time to be left alone with your thoughts. Ciampa said that he knew who his friends were. Clue number 1. And certainly was not going to play second fiddle to The Miz. He planned on creating his own opportunities. Clue number 2. Clue number 2. You might say he's going to do it himself. A little DIY. When you really pay attention and you read between the lines here, they're dropping some not so subtle hints about what's to come. Now, for the second straight week, it was Tommaso Ciampa one-on-one with The Miz. Why this was necessary? Beats me. He won pretty decisively last week. But here we have our rematch. The match never happened, though, because Miz jumped Ciampa as he was making his entrance on the way to the ring. And he ended up putting him down with a skull-crushing finale on the floor. Like I said, Miz has been winless all year. He is really the biggest loser, the perennial loser here in WWE. And this is a former 2-time WWE champion. This is a man who headlined WrestleMania, something CM Punk never did. So beating Miz really doesn't mean jack shit at this point. It really doesn't. They tried to give him an edge here. This was a totally serious attack. There was no comedy involved. Well, actually, there was comedy involved, because when Miz came out, the fans chanted tiny balls at him. So it's kind of hard to take him seriously. But just based on the way he's been used and the fact that he has yet to win a fucking match all year, I can't take anything this guy does seriously. So they tried to treat this like a serious, attack angle. But I just can't do it. I just can't do it. Can't take anything this guy does seriously. Gunther and Kaiser. They were having a conversation in the back when they were interrupted by Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. And Kaiser told them to keep walking. Owens said that Kaiser does the same thing to them weekly. You don't like it, do you? You don't like it when somebody interrupts your conversation for no reason at all. He said, actually, we had a reason for interrupting them. And then he stopped and he asked Sami, wait, what's our reason? And Sami said Matt Riddle and what Imperium did to him earlier in the show. Kaiser warned Sami to be careful or else he would meet the same fate that Owens did a few weeks ago when he wrestled Gunther. Zayn said that it took all three of them to beat KO. He challenged Gunther to a singles match tonight. Gunther accepted. They also, around this point in the show, officially announced that it was going to be Carmelo Hayes getting in the ring one-on-one tonight with Finn Balor. So at this point in the show, Gunther and Sami, Hayes and Balor, it felt like, all right, things are picking up here. Things are finally picking up in this show. We had Dominik Mysterio out to face a mystery opponent, an opponent of his choosing. The opponent he chose was Akira Tozawa, the former 24/7 champion, Akira Tozawa. By the way, all of these reports about Vince McMahon now, he's starting to get even more involved and changing things at the last minute. And I'm sure we'll hear about him making changes tonight also. How long before we start seeing the 24/7 title back on TV? I can picture it now. Somebody will be walking, and maybe it's Dana Brooke, maybe it's somebody else, maybe it's Miz. Somebody will be walking in the back one day, and they'll just kind of look off camera, and they get a look on their face, and they walk over to a garbage can, and they reach in and they pull out the 24/7 title. Like it's been sitting there in the trash the whole time. Like even the trash cans travel with them from arena to arena. And that's it. They'll pull the title out and voila, the 24/7 title will be back. I'm expecting it. I'm just waiting for it at this point. It's probably an inevitability. So Dominik immediately put the boots to Tozawa. Tozawa came back with a Hurricane Rana and a Shining Wizard. He then sent Dominik to the floor and caught him with a suicide dive. Tozawa tossed him back inside, and then he was briefly distracted by Rhea Ripley. And really, who among us would not be at least briefly distracted by Rhea Ripley? I mean, come on. So then he went to the ropes. Dominik ended up throwing Tozawa off the top rope, and then he hit a frog splash for the win. A hard-fought win for Dominik in all 1 minute and 50 seconds that it took against this incredibly difficult competitor here. I can only imagine what rating they gave Tozawa. I don't remember what rating they gave him in 2K23. He's probably at least a 94, I would think, in that game. But Dominik somehow survived. Then we had Corey Graves hosting what they called a Women's Money in the Bank Summit in the middle of the ring with all 6 participants in the Women's Money in the Bank match on Saturday. Becky Lynch, Bayley, Io Sky, Trish Stratus, Zoe Stark, and Zelina Vega. And Corey started by explaining the rules to Money in the Bank. Bayley cut him off and said, we already know the rules. That's right. It's been 18 years. We already know how this works. Bayley said that she was the only woman in the ring who has actually won Money in the Bank, and she had the best chance of winning. Io shot her a look before saying, may the best woman win. Zelina then ran down everybody in the ring. She put over Becky, though, before reminding her that she never won Money in the Bank. She called Zoe a groupie. She said Trish wouldn't know what to do because she's never been in a ladder match before, which is kind of hard to believe, but I guess it kind of makes sense. Right? Back when Trish was the women's champion, the Diva era and even pre-Diva, I don't know what you would call that, but what would you call that? What would you call the pre-Diva era? I don't know. I don't know if that had an actual proper name or not, but I guess it makes sense. There really weren't very many women's ladder matches. Were there any women's ladder matches back then? I don't even remember there being any. So yeah, in all the years that she spent in WWE, Trish has never been in a ladder match before. This one will be her first. Vega said that she would win, and Bayley then laughed at her, and she screamed at Zelina, so Zoe told her to calm down. Trish said that they were all just little girls. The crowd at this point chanted for Becky. Trish said that she had to save the women's division because, unlike them, she was the best to ever do it. She asked Becky if she would be man enough to say thank you, Trish, after she wins on Saturday. Becky acted like she was about to say something. Instead, she decked Trish, and a brawl broke out with all the women. Becky tossed Trish and Zoe out of the ring. Bayley and Io then teamed up on Becky. Zelina then saved her by hitting them with a flip-flop. Uh-oh. She brought out the chancla. When you see that, when you see the chancla, you know that she means business. See, I know what it is now. I got an education from all of you. I know what it is, and I'm very grateful that I didn't get hit with one when I was a kid. So Io wiped out everybody on the floor with a springboard moonsault, everybody except Becky. Becky was the last woman standing in the ring. She climbed the ladder, and she posed with the briefcase. See, now we don't need the match on Saturday. There you go. Becky Lynch already pulled down the briefcase, and she won Money in the Bank. This segment did nothing for me. Yeah, they got some real talent in this match. You got Becky, you got Bayley, Io. Obviously Trish is the resident legend here in this match. Becky will be going after Trish. That'll prolong their feud, leading to what I'm sure will be a rematch at SummerSlam. So there is the potential for this to end up being good, but I mean, as far as this segment doing anything to be like, oh man, I can't wait now to see this match. No, this didn't do much for me. So Kathy Kelly was in the back, and she was interviewing the NXT champion, Carmelo Hayes, ahead of his debut match here tonight on Raw. Hayes said that he was invited here tonight by Seth Rollins, said it was an honor to be on the show. He said that he would take care of Seth's problem by taking out Finn Balor. And he said that if he has to go out in a blaze of glory against Baron Corbin, if he has to go out in a blaze of glory, you say, I don't know that if you're in a match with Baron Corbin, win or lose, I don't know that you can really say there's any real glory involved. Unless he wants to come wrestle for House of Glory. That would be very interesting. I could just picture it now. The promoter coming to me, hey, we got an idea. I want you to really promote the debut of Baron Corbin. Oh boy. I think I might resign my post on the spot if that ever happens. Although the way his career has been going, he may end up in House of Glory before long. Anyway, he says if he has to go out in a blaze of glory against Corbin,
Rich over here
that's
dropping all this money on me. Hey,
look at this.
I just want you to know, I think you rock. I don't mean The Rock, A Rock, you rock. And I just wanted you to know that.
That's right. That's right. Darth Bullsey with a $100 super chat. I just want Darth Bullsey to know that he rocks. Hey, Bullsey, thank you, man. Bullsey has a super chat here about the 24/7 title. So we're gonna save that for later. Bombs away from Darth Bullsey. I'm gonna start calling you. I was looking at JL in the chat. What was I gonna say? I'm gonna start calling you Bombs Bullsey or Bullsey Bombs. We'll call you Bullsey Bombs. I froze there for a second. I was looking at JL. JL wrote bombs away in the live chat. Oh boy. See, this is what happens when you have two eyeballs. One's going this way, the other's going that way. Now I know how Shawn Michaels feels. All right, here. So, we have Carmelo Hayes wrapping up his promo here in the back. He said, you have to take shots to make shots. And he goes, tonight he won't miss. Elsewhere in the back, Becky Lynch, who I was just talking about Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch is walking through the hallway, and she happens upon the World Heavyweight Champion, not her husband, but Rhea Ripley. Rhea Ripley just so happens to be standing there by herself, leaned up against the wall. This was right out of a cutscene from 2K23. Ripley said that if Becky even thought about cashing in on her if she wins on Saturday, it would be the last thing that she would ever do. And Becky said that when she was the champion, she defended the title in every town in the main event, whereas Rhea has become a main event side piece. Becky said that she doesn't need the title needs her. She's going to win the briefcase on Saturday just to make Rhea squirm. And then she walked off. She tore her up in that segment. Becky torched Rhea. There wasn't a lot of dialogue here, but the dialogue they gave them, she torched Rhea. Rhea really didn't have a good comeback for any of this. Then we finally got good. We got good here on this show. We had Gunther against Sami Zayn. Obviously, this was a non-title match. Both men are champions, but this was non-title. This was a treat. This was a treat, this match was. This was not announced before the show, so I didn't know this was going to happen. When they announced it, though, I said, this is going to be good. And it did not disappoint. Giovanni Vinci, who has not been seen in about a month since Matt Riddle attacked him and put him in an ankle lock in the back, he walked out in the middle of this match on crutches to join Ludwig Kaiser at ringside. Zayn tried an exploder. Gunther blocked it, chopped him repeatedly, delivered chops. Owens on commentary was mockingly applauding Gunther for being able to slap a man in the chest. Zayn blocked the chop. He went up top. Hey, that rhymed. I sound like Dr. Seuss now. See, Cody's not the only one spitting Dr. Seuss here on this show tonight. So again, he blocked the chop. He went to the top. Gunther chopped him again. Zayn fought back and hit a sunset flip powerbomb for 2. Gunther countered a Blue Thunder Bomb into a sleeper hold, and Sami fought to his feet. He ended up hitting the Blue Thunder Bomb when he went for it again, only got a near fall. Zayn came off the top, and Gunther just chopped him out of midair. Like fucking King Kong just swatting a helicopter out of the sky. And he followed with a huge splash off the top rope. Thought that might be it. Sami kicked out. Kaiser jumped on the apron, so Owens attacked him, and then Gunther went outside. He booted Owens right in the face. Sami saw this, so Sami did a big flip dive out over the top and took out Gunther. Crowd was chanting for Sami. The crowd was all into this at this point. And he hit an exploder in the corner. Zayn was setting up for the haluva kick. Kaiser distracted the referee. And Vinci then hit Zayn with a crutch. Looked like he maybe jammed it into his throat. Gunther followed immediately with a powerbomb into a stack pin, and he got the win over Sami Zayn. This was damn good. For the time they gave them, I think it was about 10 minutes. This was a damn good match. Owens attacked Gunther and Kaiser when the match was over. The numbers game caught up to them, though, until Matt Riddle, I was going to say ran, but basically limped down to the ring to make the save. Riddle nailed Vinci with a knee strike and then attacked everybody in Imperium with the crutch. Owens hit Kaiser with a stunner, and Imperium retreated. Crowd was hot for this. Crowd was hot for the match. Crowd was hot for the post-match. And again, this was a very good match between two very good professional wrestlers. Again, I have yet to see Gunther have a bad match in this company. You know, we got used to seeing him on the independent scene and then later in NXT UK have these long, just kind of epic matches. And you wonder how that will translate to the main roster when he first gets called up, because he's going to be having a lot of short matches on TV. It's not going to be the same. He's adjusted just fine. Doesn't matter if you give him 5 minutes or if you give him 35 minutes. This man will go out there. He will make those minutes count. He will make those minutes as impactful as possible. And again, what he has done for the Intercontinental title, the way that he's portrayed on television, the quality of the matches that he has, the way he carries himself like he's this fucking final boss here of a video game, he's done wonders for the Intercontinental Championship. And when he eventually drops that title, that will be it. There will not be another champion succeeding Gunther. Maybe at some point down the road, but whoever this next champion is going to be is not going to be able to fill his shoes. But hopefully for him, it'll be on to bigger and better things. Because once he gets rid of this title, it'll be on to the title that Seth Rollins has. I'm still looking at that as the likely championship match for WrestleMania next year. So they aired a video package with Carmelo Hayes highlights. Before Finn Balor came out for their match, he was on his way to the ring. And then they made Balor stand in the middle of the ring and wait. because the announcers recapped the very important angle from last week involving Natalya and Rhea Ripley. And then we had a Natalya promo in the back with Kathy Kelly. Natty said that she's been fighting a battle in her head. She said that she's shaken. I was going to say, but not stirred, but it's a 007 joke. She's shaken, but she's still standing. She wanted Ripley to bring her title and face her one-on-one next week. And I reiterate what I said before. They desperately need new competition for Rhea Ripley. If this is the best they can do, they really need to work extra hard to start building legitimate challengers for Rhea Ripley. Because we saw what happened with Rhea and Natty at Night of Champions. If they're doing some sort of redemption story with Natty, is it going to work? I don't know. All I know is they had a very brief, very non-competitive match at Night of Champions. And, Natty's been around for so long. She's been champion multiple times. She's in that Dolph Ziggler category where you know who she is. She's been around forever. You can use her in certain roles to help elevate other people, in that division. But she is not going to be the focus, and Rhea Ripley is it feels like she's not doing much of anything when it comes to the Women's Championship. She's with the Judgment Day. She's with Dom. She might be in Balor or Priest Corner sometimes. She's all over the show. And yet, even though it feels like she's all over the show, she does not have that one great feud, that one opponent that you look at and go, okay, this is the yin and yang thing here, the Batman and Joker type. Like, she doesn't have anybody like that. It sure as hell ain't going to be Natty, but it doesn't seem like they really have anybody on standby either. They've teased something with Becky. Again, they teased something with Raquel. I don't know if they're going to go in that direction or not, but they got to start building up other people because this is not good. This is not good. But this match here was good. This was a good showcase here for Carmelo Hayes. Balor, I think, gave him a lot here. There was a springboard clothesline at one point. This is a move that Hayes does in his matches where he'll jump into the ropes and then he'll springboard off the middle rope, and usually he'll come back with a crossbody. He did the springboard. It was a springboard clothesline, but he was a little wide. But he was able to get his arm out. He caught Balor with a clothesline anyway on the way down. Even Corey Graves commented on, him being a little far away, but he was able to hit the move anyway. He was able to stretch. Balor came back, turned him inside out with a clothesline, then followed up with a sling blade. Balor set up for a shotgun dropkick. Hayes, though, cut him off. Carmelo hit a springboard into a DDT for a 2 count. Balor regained control with a gutbuster and then hit a dropkick in the corner. Balor went up top and finished him off with the double stomp off the top rope for the win. He pinned the NXT champion. Hey, Toby, thank you for the gifted membership, my friend. Toby just gifted a membership to Deputy Dog. There you go. Bow wow. We got a brand new channel member. Just like that. Just like that. Like magic. Look, world champions. I don't care what brand it is, developmental, main roster, it doesn't matter. World champions should not be losing matches, especially non-title matches on television. It's one of my pet peeves. It's one of the things I was commenting on this only a few weeks ago on AEW with MJF and Adam Cole, right before they did the match. I said I really would rather not see MJF go in there and lose a non-title match to Adam Cole because they love doing this eliminator stuff, right? WWE does it now too, but AEW does it all the time. World champions should not be losing non-title matches on television, but it's the match they booked tonight. Okay, they booked the match. It's not the match I would have booked, but they booked the match, and Balor is the one challenging Seth Rollins on Saturday. So Finn Balor cannot lose this match. Finn Balor is wrestling Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight Championship in less than a week. So there was never any doubt about who was going over in this match. The moment they announced the match, you knew who was going to win and who had to win, who should have won this match, which is exactly the reason why I would not have done the match. It's not the debut for Carmelo Hayes that I would have done 24 hours before he defends that title against Baron Corbin. Not unless they send Corbin out there for the distraction. I was a little surprised that we didn't see that Corbin didn't show up and either interfere for the DQ or do something to distract him briefly, and then he gets pinned, so then that puts a little more heat on their match. Corbin can show up on the show tomorrow night at the beginning and go, hey, how was your Monday night? How was your night? They didn't do that. Corbin was not on this show. The one time I wouldn't mind seeing Baron Corbin on the fucking show, and he's not on the show. I understand them wanting to put Carmelo Hayes on Raw, though. It makes sense, because you have this big NXT show tomorrow. He is defending against a main roster member. And so let's have him on the show. Let's have him in the front row. Let's have him maybe cut a promo. And in that way, we can promote the Gold Rush show for tomorrow night. It's just the timing of beating him. Was that necessary? It really wasn't. It was not necessary to beat him tonight of all nights. But after he wins tomorrow, it'll all be forgotten about. The important part of all of this is, how did he come across? How did Carmelo Hayes come across? How was he portrayed? And again, I thought he acquitted himself very well. They had a video package ready for him before the match started. And then when the bell rang and the match started, again, he went in there and he looked like he belonged. He was, hanging with Finn Balor, and he didn't look out of place. He didn't look like he was in over his head. He wasn't nervous. He wasn't botching moves or anything like that. It was smooth sailing for him at that point. And so he's got a place on the main roster right now whenever they're ready to call him up. Right? Same thing for Braun Breaker. There's a spot waiting for him on the main roster in the not too distant future. But he's going to be just fine. Carmelo Hayes is going to be just fine. They cut to the back, and we had a very important debut. This was the debut I was not expecting here on Raw. Now, last week we had the return of Tommaso Ciampa. It was great to see Tommaso Ciampa back. And as big of a deal as it was to have the debut of the NXT champion on the show, Carmelo Hayes was only the second biggest debut. He wasn't even the first. He was the second biggest debut on the show tonight. The biggest debut was this little guy right here. Look at that. Pharaoh the dog. They must have been in Georgia. They were in Georgia tonight. I think they were. Where were they? Were they in Marietta? I don't remember exactly what part of Georgia they were in, but I guess that makes sense. But there it is. Cody is in the back with Pharaoh the dog. I think the last time I saw Pharaoh at a wrestling show was the AEW event where the pyro went off and scared the dog half to death. What a dumb decision that was. That was the last time we saw Pharaoh at an AEW show. I don't know why the fuck you would set pyro off when you have a dog out there. That's not very bright. But Cody was in the back. He was petting Pharaoh. And Kathy Kelly came over to talk to Cody, not Pharaoh. And Cody said, look, I enjoy our little chats, Kathy, but I look forward to the day when we don't have to talk about the Judgment Day anymore. And he said that Dominik would not have the Judgment Day by his side of Money in the Bank. I'm not sure why that is. I assume Rhea Ripley would be with Dominik. Does he know something I don't? Are they banned from ringside? It's Savannah. Okay, I thought it was Marietta. It's Savannah. Savannah, Georgia is where they were tonight for Raw. And Cody said that he has yet to lay a finger on Dominik. He looked forward to seeing what he had on Saturday. Okay, everybody wave goodbye to Pharaoh. We're going to take him off screen. Give him a little doggy bag, and we'll send him off into the corner. Main event was Cody, not with Pharaoh in his corner. One-on-one with Damian Priest, who I am predicting will win the Money in the Bank briefcase on Saturday. If you missed it, the Money in the Bank segment from episode 814, I posted it on YouTube. If you want to go through, it's a full preview of the show on Saturday with my predictions. My heart says LA Knight. I would love to see LA Knight walk away with that briefcase. I am predicting and picking Damian Priest to walk out the men's Money in the Bank winner on Saturday. Cody was in control when Dominik and Rhea headed to the ring. Cody hit a suicide dive. Then he walked over to Dom and he was asking him, what? Dominik was hiding behind Rhea. After a commercial, Priest hit a Falcon Arrow for a near fall. Priest went to the top. Cody then ran the ropes like he was Kurt Angle. He just ran up the ropes and he grabbed Priest. He brought him down with an arm drag off the top. Rhodes then hit a power slam. He had a disaster kick, and he hit a bionic elbow for a near fall. Priest blocked a figure four and hit a headlock driver, and he blocked a crossroads, so Cody hit a pedigree instead. Priest rolled out of the ring to avoid a cover. Rhodes hit a super kick, and Ripley distracted the referee. Dominik tripped up Rhodes, and Priest followed with a South of Heaven chokeslam. Cody, though, kicked out at 2. So then it was Dominik trying to distract the referee. Cody, though, slipped out of a Razor's Edge attempt, and he shoved Damian Priest into Dominik, which sent Dominik flying off the apron to the floor. And Cody hit a Cody cutter and then a crossroads, and he picked up the win. After the match, Dominik got a cheap shot in on Cody from behind. He hit Cody from behind, and he ran away like a bitch. I loved it, though. That's exactly what Dominik would do. He would take the cheap shot, and he would run. And that was how they ended the show, with Cody in the ring staring down Dom and Rhea. The way we opened the show, right? We opened with Dominik and Rhea and Cody, and that's exactly how we closed the show out. Oh, if Brock Lesnar cost Cody Rhodes that match on Saturday, he cost him that match on Saturday like I think he will, we are never going to hear the end of it. This is going to be Dominik's new gimmick. The man who beat Cody Rhodes. You remember that old Married with Children episode from one of the early seasons? When the Bundys went on vacation to this disgusting, dilapidated lodge, I think somewhere in Florida. And there was like a serial killer on the loose. But you remember that one guy, he goes, the man who met Andy Griffith. Dominik is going to be the man who beat Cody Rhodes. That's going to be his new gimmick going forward. The first 2 hours of the show, for the most part, I thought were pretty boring. They were pretty boring. I mean, the opening segment was fine, but after that, a lot of what we got from the latter part of the first hour, the second hour, I was just pretty fucking bored. But the show picked up in the third hour. We got some good wrestling, especially from Gunther and from Sammy. And look, tonight was all about promoting the key matches for Money in the Bank. That's what the go-home show is. So you're going to get a lot of video packages. You're going to get a lot of talking. They're going to run down the whole card. There's going to be stuff in the back. It's not going to be a very heavy action show. And tonight was not heavy on the action. But as I said, they've done a very good job, I think, with Finn Balor. The Women's Summit, that did nothing for me. They did not do much as far as the men's Money in the Bank match is concerned. Maybe they're saving the Summit for the men on Friday. And the Bloodline stuff, we'll see what they do on SmackDown on Friday. Roman Reigns is back on Friday. And we have 2 title matches. Charlotte Flair taking on Asuka for the WWE Women's Championship. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn defend the tag team titles against Pretty Deadly. I will not be here on Friday, but I will be live with you on Saturday. As soon as Money in the Bank is off the air, I'll have the full review. And Saturday is going to be Money in the Bank day. So, no Collision on Saturday. Money in the Bank is at 3 o'clock. That pay-per-view is not going off the air until at least 6. Maybe 6:30. Then I go live. Then it's 2 hours. Collision's already on. Fuck that noise. I'll catch up with Collision that night. You want the Collision recap? You know where to find it. That'll be episode 815 on Sunday. You guys know where to go. Here's the Twitter poll for tonight. 52% thumbs up for tonight's show. 47.7% thumbs down. So, higher positive score than negative score, but awfully close. That is a very, very close score there. A lot of divided opinion, apparently, about this show tonight. At Solomonster on Twitter. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. Al Bundy is my spirit animal, too. No, ma'am would be a great faction on a wrestling show. Wouldn't work in today's day and age, though. Like in the Attitude Era and the Monday Night War period, No Man would have gotten over in a big way. Today, No Man would get one of these wrestling shows canceled. So we can't have that. We can't have that. What do we begin with here? We're going to begin with Callum Davis dropping a $12 super chat. Sorry I missed the Forbidden Door stream last night. Does the constant chop fests and standing there allowing your opponent to strike you not bug you with these strong style matches? It really bugs me. Sometimes it bugs me if they overdo it. Sometimes they'll stand there for an inordinate amount of time, and I'm like, all right, can we please move on to like the actual wrestling? So yeah, sometimes it bugs me, and sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you get a really good chop battle between two guys. Fans are into it. It just depends. Sometimes it overstays its welcome. Down bad. Sorry, Solomonster. Every Monday I try to make it to the stream, but Raw puts me to sleep every time before the stream starts. I know the feeling. I missed one Raw stream a while back, and I said I'm gonna lay in bed and watch Raw. I was out like a light within 10 minutes. It put me right to bed. It is the cure for insomnia. Look, there's something about it. It's just that length, and I think there's so many commercials. I think what happened is, like, by the second commercial, I just fell asleep. I think the commercials are really what take you out of it. Rizzo, I want to help that poor green guy escape that 3 hours of Raw hole. That's right, in the intro. You don't want to fall into that hole. You fall into that hole, it's like a black hole. There's no getting out of it. You'll be falling for all eternity. Imagine that. Put yourself in that green guy's shoes. Okay, well, he doesn't really wear shoes, but put yourself in his feet. Okay, put yourself in his position. Imagine falling into that hole, being sucked into that hole. And it's 3 hours of Raw, and you're falling, and it's just playing all around you, and there's nothing you can do. You're just falling forever, watching 3 hours of Monday Night Raw. That's got to be a fate worse than death. My God. It's awful just thinking about it. Paul Carpenter. I saw on a YouTube channel a guy explain Brock Lesnar did not want to fight Kevin Owens because he had a move called diverticulitis. It was like the F5. I have no idea what YouTube channel you're talking about. You should have mentioned who it was. I'd like to watch this video so I can mock it. Yeah, no, Paul, I don't know what that's in reference to. I don't know if that's a joke. I don't know if he had a move one day like that. As far as I know, KO and Brock get along just fine. Bobby's World caught up on the Forbidden Door stream today. I could not identify Breezango either. It's good. I'm not the only one. I saw those two. I saw Fandango. I saw Tyler Breeze. I know who they are. And I just, for the life of me, I just could not remember their team name. There's like 10 seconds of silence. I was trying to just remember. And I just couldn't remember. Christopher Smith, I just wanted to show my love and support for fellow North Carolina wrestlers. That is all. Shout out to all the North Carolina wrestlers out there. Samoan fan, remember the Kurt Angle Charmel storyline? After the bestiality sex line, Kurt should have called himself the new sexual chocolate. Yeah, there were some segments that are better off left in the dustbin of history. That's one of them. Jazz Jackrabbit, been to 2 pay-per-views in my home country. Both had wrestlers who desecrated our flag. What are the chances? Worse, both of them won. Is that a new stat to track? I think it might be. Christopher Smith, Miz is 0 for 40 for matches in 2023. This man is a former 2-time WWE champion and WrestleMania headliner. Let that sink in. 0 for 40 in 2023. When he was in the WWF, Virgil won more matches than The Miz has won in all of 2020. Back in 1995, when he was feuding with Skip, Barry Horowitz won more matches than The Miz has won this year in WWE. We got Tarkham with the $5 super chat. Just got back from a stay in the hospital for some mental issues. Thank you for all that you do and helping through hard times. Tarkham, I hope you're doing better. Sorry that you were away for a while, but again, hopefully things are looking up for you. Always happy to have you around. Samoan fan says they should throw Snooki in Money in the Bank like Logan Paul. No, they should not. Can you even imagine Snooki? You know how short she is? She's like 3'8". Imagine her trying to climb a ladder. She could climb to the tippy top of the ladder and she still couldn't put her fingertips on those briefcases. You're going to put Snooki in a ladder match. Darth Bullsey with the $100 Bullsey bomb. That's what we're going to call them. We're going to call them Bullsey bombs. If they do pull the 24/7 title out of the trash, does that make the trash can the longest reigning 24/7 champion? If so, does the person have to pin the trash can? Does the trash can become the new member of the WWE roster? If you remember, who was the one who jumped? Was it Nikki Cross? When Nikki Cross was walking through the backstage area that episode, she actually missed the garbage can. I'm pretty sure she missed and it fell on the floor. So technically, I don't think the title is actually in the garbage. I think it's still lying on the floor of whatever building that was. I still don't know how she actually missed the garbage can. She just walked right by it. I think she missed the whole thing. So technically, I don't actually think it's in the garbage can. Trill Mexican. First time I've ever seen Damian Priest wrestle was April 27th, 2018 at Ring of Honor against Cody Rhodes when he was Punishment Martinez. So glad these two got a match in WWE. Have a great night solo. Well, thank you, Trill Mexican. Yeah, and Damian, he was probably looking probably heavier back then, right? I know he lost a lot of weight many years ago. He lost like 100 pounds or something, but this is a very different Damian Priest now than the one from the Ring of Honor days. And again, a Damian Priest that I think is probably going to win Money in the Bank this weekend. The Mount Vernon Kid, Christopher Bennett. Becky tonight earned her pay. She burned Rhea, and it wasn't a lie. Also, I told you this on Twitter. I don't think this Rollins and Balor is one and done. It might go to SummerSlam. It could. If it does, though, I don't think that necessarily means Balor's winning the belt. There could be some other reason, you know, they come up with some other explanation to get him a second match. So it's possible. I don't know if Drew McIntyre is going to be back this weekend, and if he's going to go heel, that could, you know, be something for Rollins to do. Look, there's always the possibility Logan Paul wins Money in the Bank. He cashes in Saturday and wins the belt. And then they just run back Rollins and Logan at SummerSlam, and Rollins wins the belt back. And they get their 1 month of Logan Paul running around with the title and getting press as the champion, and they, you know, they love that stuff. It's a lot of different possibilities. This is one of those pay-per-views where even the Bloodline stuff could go either way. I have Roman and Solo winning, but there really aren't that many matches on the show this weekend where I would say the outcome is all that predictable. You know, in the Money in the Bank match, there's probably 2 or 3 people who have a legitimate chance of winning. But it could go any number of ways. So that's one of the good things about the show this weekend, is that there really is none of the key matches have an absolute 100% okay, this is what the outcome is going to be. Paul, channel is called Walt Clyde, but it's not a joke, and I guess the move came from Excalibur and Kevin Owens in Ring of Honor. I feel like Brock Lesnar would want to hurt Excalibur. I think that Brock and Kevin Owens, they get along fine. But I feel like if Brock ever ran into Excalibur and he had the stupid mask on, I just feel like Brock would just pound that guy into the ground. I think he would get irrationally angry and he would want to just do physical bodily harm to Excalibur. Christopher Bennett says, also, the Undertaker and Foley watch-along, Hell in a Cell, was pure magic. Totally recommend watching it on YouTube. I have that bookmarked. I have not watched it yet. It's the full match too. It's like 28 minutes long. It's just Foley and Undertaker sitting down watching. Because this week, I think actually Wednesday, is 25 years since their famous Hell in a Cell match. So if you missed it, WWE has a full sit-down session with the two men involved rewatching the match. That is up on their YouTube channel right now. Brandon Vasquez, at some point, do you think we'll ever get a Bad Bunny against Logan Paul match? Perhaps a WrestleMania 40? Yeah, I think eventually it'll happen. Samoan fan. Don't forget, Snooki and Trish wrestled together at WrestleMania 27. Maybe Snooki comes back to WWE and helps Trish win Money in the Bank. Note, I'm not actually for this. Yeah, I don't think anybody is for that. I would not even be putting that out into the atmosphere. Oh, is our boy Luis. Look at this. Luis Belmont Show with the $5 super chat. I would rather see again with the Debbie Ryan. I would rather see Debbie Ryan in the women's Money in the Bank ladder match than Logan Paul in the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. What is the obsession with Debbie Ryan? You mention her name a lot. I think you're her biggest fan. How old is she, bud? Jazz Jackrabbit, quick one. Best Randy. Savage or Savage? I mean, how is that even a question? Savage. And Darth Bullseye. That trash can is Vince's secret weapon. Triple H made a mistake. It helped Vince back into power. Vince never relinquished power. That's what some people are forgetting. Vince was never out of power to begin with. All he did was step back into the shadows to let things settle down. And when he saw his opportunity, he struck. He struck, and he's not going anywhere. Yeah, Steve, Google Debbie Ryan for me too. Because this entire time, I had it in my head. I would see Debbie Ryan, and I was thinking of the woman from Star Trek. But that's Jerry Ryan. So I actually don't think I even know who Debbie Ryan is. I was thinking of Jerry Ryan this entire time. I'm like, why are you obsessed with Jerry Ryan? So I don't even know who that is. Well, if it's Disney Channel, then I definitely don't know. If it's someone from Disney Channel, then I definitely don't know who Debbie Ryan is. So you'll have to help me out on that. All right, we're all through your super chats here. Thank you guys. We fell very short of our goal tonight. Very slow night. This is Raw. This is Raw. What can I say? This is the way it is right now. We're in the middle of the summer. Well, summer just started, but we're in the middle of the summertime now. It's Raw. It's a go-home show. There's just not a lot going on here on this show. We will try again on Wednesday. We will try to meet our Be the Booker goal and take it for a spin on Wednesday, see if we get there. If you missed episode 814 of the podcast, well over 2 hours of audio goodness, covered a lot of ground. AEW, WWE, Dark Side of the Ring on Doink the Clown, and some great mailbag questions. Inspired a lot of discussion. I think some of those questions will get some people talking. I'm sure you guys will have opinions on all that. So don't forget to download episode 814 and join me back here live on the YouTube channel Wednesday night. The post Forbidden Door edition of AEW Dynamite. We'll see what stories kick off as we begin the march to Wembley Stadium. That is their next big show. Well, I guess Blood and Guts will be their next big show. We have the finals of the Owen tournaments coming up in mid-July. It looks like Blood and Guts is probably going to be at Boston on Dynamite on July 19th. That's the rumor going around. But the next really big show is the end of August. That'll be the all-in show from Wembley. So we'll see what they have in store for us on Wednesday night, and then right back here live for the Money in the Bank review. Money in the Bank coming to the O2 in London on Saturday. Should be a good show. So thank you guys for all the love. I appreciate it. Hit that like button on your way out. And I will see you guys back here in 48 hours for the Dynamite stream. Until then, take care, guys. Go back and check out the Forbidden Door review if you missed it from last night. I went to bed at 4 o'clock in the morning doing that review. So go check that out. I'll see you guys Wednesday.